Hi, welcome back to our channel. We're the traveling chefs. We travel full-time to discover cuisines from around the world. Today we are in Manila, Philippines, and we're gonna try their adobo recipe, but we are going to put a little twist on it. So I will let him explain, and we'll see you later. Before we continue, don't forget to press the subscribe button for more videos like this.
So with our last few videos, we've been asking everyone what they want to see us cook. So the last few videos we've done have been all on recommendations. And this was a big one that's kind of near and dear to every Pinoy's heart, adobo. Pork adobo, chicken adobo, dry adobo, wet adobo, spicy adobo. There's so many different varieties, different kinds of sauces, different kind of meats, different preparation techniques. So today we're going to make adobo, but we've been craving for crispy chicken wings as well. So what we're going to try to do is very, very, very not traditional in any way, shape, or form. We're going to make crispy fried adobo chicken wings. Alright, so pretty simple. Number one, chicken wings, skin on because we want it crispy. Next, we have 2 cups vinegar, 2 cups soy sauce. We have 1 tablespoon black peppercorns as well as 1 tablespoon ground black pepper. We have a little bit of chili flakes, about 5 bay leaves, and then we have 6 cloves of smashed garlic. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna mix those together. That's gonna be our marinade, and we're gonna let that sit for about 30 minutes. So our marinade's made. The one thing I love about this recipe is it's super simple. It's super fast. The only long period of time it takes is going to be the marinade. So our marinade's done. Just a few simple ingredients. We have our chicken wings thawed out, ready to go. We are just going to pour this marinade right on top. Give it a quick little massage to make sure they're all coated pretty well. And some of that garlic gets to the bottom as well. We don't want to marinate this too long because that vinegar is really going to break down the meat in this. So if we let this sit for an extended period of time, the meat's going to turn to mush. I would say minimum 20 minutes, maximum maybe an hour, and that might even be pushing it as well because this is such an acidic marinade. And I also made a little bit extra marinade in this because we're going to turn this marinade into a sauce as well. And then we're going to let this sit for about 30 minutes. So we're going to make 2 kinds of breading for our chicken wings. We're not sure which one we want, whether we want super crispy skin on the chicken wings or we want a super crispy batter. So we're going to split it in half and do 2 kinds. So the first one, we're actually going to coat with a mixture of baking powder to dry out the skin before we deep fry it for an extra crispy skin. The second one, we're going to do a buttermilk soak and we're going to toss in some seasoned flour. But the problem is we don't have any buttermilk. So I'm going to do a quick substitution and I'll show you how to make that. So to make this quick substitution, I have 3 cups full cream milk. You can also use heavy cream if you like. I prefer the heavy cream, but we don't have any heavy cream. So I have 3 cups whole cream milk, and I have about 2.5 to 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. I'm just going to mix this in with our milk. Just give it a very gentle mix. What's going to happen is that vinegar is going to cause this milk to partially curdle. When it partially curdles, it's going to thicken up to the consistency of buttermilk. And that's going to coat our chicken wings really, really nice to have that nice seasoned flour stick before we deep fry them. Super easy, mixing this little bit of vinegar, and then we're going to let this sit for about 30 minutes, almost the same duration as our chicken wings are going to marinate. That's it. Chicken wings are marinating. Our buttermilk's going to sit a little bit, and we're going to allow it to partially curdle so it thickens up. And then we're going to start with our breading. So our chicken wings are just about finished marinating, so we're going to make our breading, essentially. So for our buttermilk and flour breading, it's going to make a crust around the chicken wings and not actually crisp the skin. but crisp the batter around them, so you should get a super juicy wing. So what we have is 1 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 cup of cornstarch, about 1.5 tablespoons of black pepper, and about 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of salt. And we're just going to mix that together really well. I hope this is enough flour, because this is all we have. You can always adjust your seasoning to taste too, because our marinade is going to be soaked in soy sauce, so it's going to be a bit on the salty side, plus our sauce is going to be salty, so you don't want your flour too overly seasoned. Just taste it. You can always make adjustments. So this is done. We have our buttermilk, our flour. There's our one batter. For our second dry rub, essentially what we're going to do, it's going to be much different. We're going to sprinkle a mixture of baking powder, salt, pepper, and garlic powder. So we're just going to sprinkle that lightly on the chicken, toss it, and let that dry out the skin a little bit before you fry it, so you get a super crispy actual skin. Very easy. We have 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, 1 teaspoon black pepper, 1 teaspoon salt. My little handy jar. And that's our nice little mixture. The interesting about this is that's a very small amount. We're going to be using that for about 1 kilo worth of chicken, or 2 pounds. So it's a very small amount we're going to sprinkle on. That's it. Let's take our chicken out of the marinade. Alright, so our chicken wings have been marinating for about 30-35 minutes. I'm going to strain them out. That's after marinade. We're going to strain those out, reserving the liquid. Yeah! I'm just going to drain those for a few minutes to get that excess liquid off before we soak them in our buttermilk and toss them in our baking powder mixture. So let them sit maybe 5-10 minutes just to get some of that excess off. Alright, so I pulled our chicken wings out of our marinade and I've let them drain for about 10 minutes, and then I broke them into 2 halves. So I broke them, 1 half is going to be with our baking powder mix. The other half we're going to soak in buttermilk, and then we're going to make a light breading for it. And then this is our reserved liquid from the marinade that we're going to cook down, and that's going to become our sauce. So first step, our first batch of separated chicken wings. Our buttermilk got nice and thick. We're just going to pour that right on top. And then we're just going to let these soak until we're ready to batter and fry them. So I think dinner's not for another 4, 5, 6 hours. So these are just going to soak in here. It's going to tenderize the meat as well as be a nice binder for our breading. So those are done. Close up shop, ready to go. Next batch, we have our wings that are drained a little bit. I made sure to get all the solid peppercorns out of there, so we don't want to deep fry them with those. We have our little itty bitty spice mixture. Super simple. Little sprinkle. A little sprinkle. We're going to toss them to make sure they get evenly coated. Again. Little sprinkle. Toss again. We just want to make sure they all get a nice coating of our spice and baking powder mix. Okay, from here, we're going to layer these out on a single sheet pan, a single layer, and we're going to put them in the fridge and let them dry out for a few hours. That'll give us that really nice crispy skin. not get as much overlap as possible. Just like that. And then we throw them in the fridge to dry out. So we have our marinating liquid. Since we typically would cook the chicken in this liquid and that would make our adobo and our adobo sauce, there's not much chicken flavor in this. So what we're gonna do is add a little bit of chicken bouillon, 1 small onion. We're gonna let that cook down and reduce for a little while just so we get the flavor that we want. And then I have a little bit of cornstarch slurry here that I'm gonna thicken it up with. So we're gonna be adding a little bit of sugar and a little bit of cornstarch to sweeten and thicken our sauce, because again, this is not traditional adobo sauce. It's just gonna be a drizzle for our chicken wings. So we want the flavor there, but a little bit of sweetness too. So I'm gonna continue cooking in the back kitchen because I'm cooking more than just chicken wings for dinner tonight. Very unrelated though. So we came back here because I have to watch multiple things at the same time. If you were wondering why we changed views. So our sauce is cooked down. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of brown sugar. And then we're gonna add a little bit of our slurry mixture to thicken up our sauce. So it's nice and thick. So we want it to coat the wings when we drizzle it on top. A little bit more of our cornstarch mixture. Just a bit more. Yeah, nice and thick. This is going to thicken up more as it cools, so I'll leave it a little bit thin. This is going to cook for 4 minutes, and then our sauce is done. So we have our chicken that I pulled out of the fridge with our baking powder seasoning mix. The skin's nice and dry. We have our really nice adobo glaze that we made just from the cooked down adobo sauce and a little bit of cornstarch slurry. So that'll be like a dipping sauce to get that really strong adobo flavor. We have our cornstarch and flour seasoning mix, and we have our buttermilk soaked chicken as well for that. So I think what I'm going to do is, to make the best crispy wings, you have to deep fry them twice. So I'm going to fry these ones 2 times, and then I'll fry our buttermilk ones only once. So we're just waiting for it all to get hot, and I'll start our first fry. So I just did a test wing. I just want to make sure my oil's at the right temperature. So the first fry is super crispy already, and then I'm going to drop it back in to get a little extra crispy. I fried that one for maybe about 3 minutes. So now, let's continue with the rest of these bad boys. It smells so good. So I'm thinking, while these ones cool down a little bit for the second fry, I'll do our buttermilk fried chicken in between. Oh, these are gonna be so crispy and delicious. With our adobo glaze. Farthest thing from traditional adobo. So I'll finish the rest of these wings off and then we'll start our buttermilk fry. So we're finishing up our first batch of wings, and while those are cooking a couple minutes, I'll start dredging our buttermilk wings. So we're gonna go right from this mixture, right into our flour. Make sure we get nice, evenly coated. Boom. I really hope I have enough flour. Doing it on this half sheet pan too, just so I can shake off some excess flour so we don't completely ruin our oil. Okay, those are done. Now it's time to do our second fry at a higher temperature for the extra crispiness. Now let's finish off our other ones. So these are our baking powder, and these are our buttermilk and flour breading. They're both super crispy, super flavorful. It kind of depends on what you like. This is a flakier crust. This is more of just the skin, which I like personally. And those are our crispy wings.
We've got our crispy buttermilk chicken right there, and this one is the
Baking powder.
baking powder. Sauce.
Adobo sauce.
We're gonna eat it with spaghetti, 2 kinds of spaghetti and salad.
Because this is the way. So there we go. We have our baking powder fried adobo marinated chicken, and we have our homemade buttermilk and flour adobo chicken with our adobo glaze. And that's it. Let's see how they taste.
Adobo sauce is really good. This one is crispier, but this one is more flavorful.
Yeah, I do like the breading. So crispy. It's our fried adobo chicken wings. Both of them were good. I personally like the breaded ones better because they're a little bit more juicier and the crust stayed extra crispy for a little bit longer. But the dry wings that we seasoned with salt, pepper, and the baking powder had much more flavor. I think the salt removed some of that liquid from the actual meat, almost like a dry aged steak. So the meat was a little bit drier than the other one, but the flavor was much bigger. The adobo sauce came out really good. Both methods work well. I guess it really depends on what you like. All in all, I think it was a great success.
Great success.
Great success. This will be one we'll keep for a while. It's kind of a fun take on adobo.
If you end up using this recipe, please let us know, comment them down below, and let us know which one you like better. And please don't forget to subscribe if you like videos like this for more weekly videos from us. See you next week. Bye!